Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and it's been a while since I've been on here, since you guys have seen me, since you've heard from me. So I apologize about that. It was a little bit of a combination of, timing for holiday stuff, then leading into illness, some technical difficulties, a snowstorm now. So it's been a while. It's been about, I guess, a month probably since I've personally done like an update on what's going on around the area. I'm glad. I appreciate all the the comments, the engagement with the interviews I did with Coach Fulton, Coach Scott that I put out kind of in the interim time period. I recorded those in the preseason. I think Coach Fulton's was recorded, the day before their first practice, and then Coach Scott's was sometime in their first week of practice, I believe. So, so got those out. There was kind of not really a great time before the season to get those out, so I was trying to get it done early in the year, and so it kind of worked out. Everything's back. Like I said, I was sick for a week post-Christmas tournament. Went out of town for some time. Like I said, we recorded another episode. There's officially a lost episode you'll never see. I recorded an entire episode that never got put out. We had some technological issues, so we're all good now. We're back in the studio. We're going to talk about some winter sports, man. A lot's gone on. We're deep in the middle of seasons, or at least we're, the thick of basketball going on right now. We're on the tail end of some swimming, some wrestling too, so lot to talk about. There's a lot I'm just not going to talk about since the last time I've updated you guys. I haven't done this type of show since Christmas tournament time. So, we'll just kind of catch up. I think the way I'm going to go about this, so I've been debating this even as I'm sitting here right now. I think I'm just going to go school by school. We're going to talk about basketball first. Go school by school. We'll go all the boys' teams, see how the teams are doing. Talk about recent games, things like that, some things I've noticed, and then go to the girls, and then we will update any results I have for wrestling, swimming, things like that. We've got, I got some results. I got results for wrestling. SEMO Conference Tournament just went down now a week ago or a few days ago at this point. So we will check that out as well. So we will jump right in, and we'll talk about the best team, boys basketball-wise and girls basketball-wise, in our little coverage area here, and that is the Jackson Indians, right? Jackson Boys, 16-1. Just an unbelievable start to a season. It's been a lot of fun. As most of you probably know, I do play-by-play for Jackson basketball games on the radio on, Withers Broadcasting 104.7, if you ever want to listen to your boy yap some more. But, this has just been an absolutely phenomenal start for the Indians. The best start in memory. The team that went to the Final Four, I know didn't start this well. I'd have to go back and look maybe, and those teams in I graduated in 13, so then the 14 team, maybe the 15 team, those guys had awesome seasons, but 16-1 is incredible. I don't care who you're playing. That is an incredible way to start a season, and Jackson's just taking care of business. They are blowing people out left and right. Since I said I talked to you last, obviously they won a Christmas tournament championship. They won every game there by double digits. Since then, at Farmington, blew them out, killed Kennett, killed Hillsborough, killed Poplar Bluff early. Poplar Bluff got back into the game, ended up winning by 17. Couldn't really put Cape away, but won 50-37. They gave up 37 points to Cape Central at Cape in a rivalry game. They have just been just lights out. It has been, like I said, I'm there for each and every game. I cover every game. They are just so good. The defense is just suffocating. They absolutely just swallow people up early in games too. They just put people away. I mentioned the Poplar Bluff game. They went up 21 at the end of the first quarter. Kennett, they were up by 15 or something. Hillsborough, they were up by 15. All these games, they go up super early. Even you go back to, they played a good Woodland team. They went up 10-0 to start the ball game. It's just been a phenomenal start to the season. And then in each game individually, they have started games very, very well there also. And it's been a ton of fun to watch, and it's been a balanced effort. It's something I've talked about a lot throughout the season. They've got a lot of different guys who step up and who can make plays. And each night it could be a different person. You look at the numbers for the team right now. I mean, John Ernst, he's been playing really well as of late. He's been hitting the boards. He's been playing really, really good interior defense, things like that, things you expect. He's starting to score a little bit more. He's averaging now over 12 points a game. Ty Forrest is another kid who I talk about all the time, and a really, really good story in the fact that, I mean, this is a kid who played like under 50 minutes total last season, I think, something like that. It's probably even much lower than that. Barely played all of last season. Now he's a starter. He's averaging 13 points a game. He's tremendously important to everything Jackson does. He put up 30 in the championship of the Christmas tournament to win the Indians back-to-back Christmas tournament championships. Kid plays really, really well. Also, I'm just choking now all of a sudden, and I'm going to be reaching off screen for a drink every so often. So don't worry about that. Jory Toma, he's in double figures. He's averaging 11 points a game. He's guarding teams' best players night in and night out. Phenomenal athlete all over the place. Will Thomas still leading the way in scoring. He's averaging 15 a game. That's another guy. I mean, what a story. He's, averages 2 points a game last season, something like that. He plays, I believe, in just about every ball game last season, but he has a minimum role on the off the bench, behind a couple of older guards. Just gets better. Just comes in, works hard every game he plays. He's not doing anything fancy. There's no flash. He's just getting open. He's cutting to the rim. He's hitting the offensive glass, and he's averaging 15 a game. I mean, just an incredible senior year by Will. He's been phenomenal. I mean, you've got other complimentary pieces. Blaine Reagan, lights out defender. I mean, he puts people in just prison cells. He just torments people for about 27 minutes a night. He just absolutely gets after people defensively. He's so fun to watch. And he gets out in transition. He scores at the rim. He's a freak of nature athlete. If he was 6'2", he'd be just jamming on people at the rim. But he's a great finisher at the rim. Other guys, Oliver Drum has played well. He was a guy who started the year in the starting five. He's now transitioned to the bench. He's been phenomenal as a spark plug, great defender, good, really good rebounder, things like that. He makes a lot of nice hustle plays. He's a guy who can guard 1 through 5 pretty much. Britt Crowden does a great job shooting off the bench. He is that designated sniper the Indians have, and other teams know it. He still gets open shots. He finds space in the corner, finds space on the wing, and gets out in transition, make shots. Stretches the floor, does a great job, plays his role really, really well. Outside of those guys, Ryan Criddle comes in. He plays good minutes consistently, doesn't turn the ball over, plays good defense as well. Brock Reagan, similar thing, has been taking care of the ball better. He's a really good defender. I mean, he's Blaine's twin. There's a lot of transference there. He's a really, really good defender, moves his feet really well. Another just speed demon, gets out in transition. And, these guys have just been absolutely phenomenal this year. Some of the other guys who play JV, when they get in, they play just as hard. It's been entertaining to watch those guys get in. And Drew Respondic has had a little bit of a bigger role out of the JV guys. But then, Colin Shanley, Ja'Cory Wiseman, Peyton Keller, Easton Toma, Colt Floyd, anytime those guys get in the game, they play hard. They defend regardless of what the score is. They could be, Jackson's winning by 40 when those kids are out there. Doesn't matter. They're getting in a stance. They're getting deflections. They're running in transition. It's a really, really, really good spot that the Indians are in. And, I guess not technically, I don't really have a finite amount of time, but I don't want to just sit here and just gush over them forever, but they look really, really good. The spot they're in right now is phenomenal. Catching us up to the present, like I said, they've been blowing people out. They're 16-1. They're undefeated in conference still. This week, due to the snowstorm, as many of y'all know now, Jackson's game against Notre Dame was canceled. So that got rescheduled to the end of the year, February 26th. It'll be the day after my wife's birthday, so TBD. And we're going out of town the next day, maybe. So TBD on if I will be on the call, but it's future me problem. And then later this week, Friday, Jackson hosts a really good Ladue team. I say it a lot about Ladue. Don't worry about the record. They're 8-7. Doesn't matter. They've got dudes. They play a really tough style to play against, to get ready for, because they just fly up and down the court. They got 5 kids on the court that all can just chuck it from 3. But they do have one kid, Will Becker, who's one of the best scorers in the St. Louis area. Decent-sized guard. I want to say he's in the 6'1" range, averaging 20-something, 25 points a game, give or take. Really, really good individual player. Outside of that, though, like I said, he's got a couple of coaches' kids on the team. They just play defense. They all look the same size-wise. They just guard and try to pressure you, try to get turnovers, get out in transition, and then they just all fire from 3. So, it's going to be tough. And they play a really, really tough schedule. They're a good team there in suburban St. Louis. Every year, this has been a heck of a rivalry of sorts, a heck of a matchup for the Indians the last 3 years now, I believe. Look at the results. So they've played, this will be the 3rd consecutive year they've played. It was a 2-point game 2 years ago when they played at the Event Center. It was a 6-point game last year up at Ladue. So, I'm expecting it to be a tight contest once again, but just keep looking ahead at the Indians' schedule at Charleston. Regardless, once again, that's another team that it's going to be tough to go to their place and do things well. Got Lutheran St. Charles, Crothersville, New Madrid at Jackson. I would say the Indians are heavy favorites in those ball games. At Seckman is going to be a dogfight. Seckman has some dudes. Sam Geatley is an absolute lights-out scorer for them. He's a monster. And then, everything's pointing to this end of the schedule stretch. Seckman, at Seckman, very tough ball game. District opponent. Then you've got Sykeston at home, which is presumably going to be to determine the SEMO Conference regular season champion, and the best team in Southeast Missouri, if you want to crown that as well. After that, you go to Webster Groves, who is defending Class 5 state champions. They've got Scotty Atkinson. They've got a bunch of other dudes that are really, really good basketball players. That's going to be it's going to be tough. Webster Groves is one of those places that is just a black hole. Once you go there, there's no coming out usually with a victory. And then they finish the year now at Notre Dame. So it's going to be a tough finish to the season for the Indians, but right now they are playing absolutely incredible basketball. So now I'm going to move over to Cape Central. The other team here, the next biggest school in Cape County, and it's been a weird year, right? It's been a bad year a lot of times. A lot of bad experiences for Cape fans this year. Because you just look at the scoring, right? Since Christmas, like I said, this is the lost episode. I covered all this stuff from Christmas time to a week after, but Christmas tournament, one of the worst finishes that I can ever remember for Cape Central. They go 1-2. They lose by double digits to Scott City. They lose by double digits to Chaffee. They come out of Christmas, you think, hey, they have a 10-plus day break, 14-day break, something like that. And then they go to Dexter and just get annihilated. Dexter beats them by 20. Cape only scores 39 points. Things are not going well. Then they have an uptick at Notre Dame. It's a very good game, but they do drop that one at Notre Dame, 63-57. However, that was the best the Cape offense has produced since Tyshandre Edwards went down. Since he's went down, they've scored. I'll just rattle a lot of numbers here. With the exception of the Meadow Heights game, they've scored 42, 26, 46, 48, 41, 32, 39. So then the 57 was a nice break from that. They played Woodland at home, who obviously Woodland is, wherever you want to put them, the 3rd or 4th best team in Southeast Missouri. So, I knew that was going to be, I anticipated it being a loss, But the fact that it was a 30-point loss and you got the 41, you gave up 71 against Woodland is brutal. But then they bounced back. They did finally get off the schneid. They had lost 5 consecutive games. And they did go on the road, beat New Madrid, which, obviously was a game before the season I would have said they should win. But, with the limitations that they do have, it was a nice win. And they played tough. I mean, the one game I will kind of recap here recently for these two teams, Cape and Jackson at Cape. It was a good game. Cape came out. They played super, super physical basketball, which is what they're going to have to do. It was another situation where they had a few days off after going to New Madrid. They came out. They just said, we're going to be very, very physical on defense. We're going to keep Jackson out of the paint as best we can. When they do, get inside, we are just going to be as physical as the rest will let us. And it was a weird officiated ball game in the fact that anything out around the perimeter was very ticky-tacky. There was so many, hand check calls, things like that around the perimeter, some, really soft, offensive fouls, moving screens, yada, yada. And then in the paint, you could just hammer people. Dude, guys were getting just smacked in the paint, and it did not matter. So that definitely favored Cape. It was, I think, a 1-point game coming out of the first. Tigers played really well. And then Jackson kind of did what they aren't usually able to do, which is play really well in the middle of the games. Like I mentioned earlier, Jackson is a great starting team. They get on people early. But then usually it's not a surprise to see them lose the second and third quarters and then put people away in the fourth is usually a pretty good summation of what they're usually doing. But in this one, it was kind of the opposite. It was an even game after one, and then Jackson was plus 20 in the second and third quarters. They held Cape, I believe, to 7 and 5 points, respectively, in those two quarters. And then Cape, I'll give it to him. Coach, Frazier, all the guys, they came out, they played very hard in the fourth quarter to cut back into that Jackson lead. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it got back to single digits in the fourth quarter, but Cape made a game of it. They definitely played very hard. They outscored Jackson significantly in the fourth quarter to make it just a 13-point deficit. But overall, I mean, it was a pretty well-controlled game for Jackson. But, you never want to take moral victories, obviously, against a rival, things like that. But the fact that you proved, hey, we can play with people in the SEMO Conference here. We can play with people in the top of the SEMO Conference should be a little bit of a positive if you are Cape Central going into the back end of the season where things, they aren't going to get easier. Their game Tuesday canceled due to weather, so that was against Hillsborough. I mean, it's not going to get easy, though. Like I said, the next one is February 3rd. They host CBC. All right, CBC is a good team. CBC is not the maybe the overwhelming monster that they have been historically, but they are still a very, very good team, and they're going to make things very, very difficult for the Indians. You go to the 6-man shootout. You play a Meridian team. I never know I don't know. I have no idea anything about Meridian. They're usually a very consistently good team, but they are a very small school. I mean, just look at the challenges. You've got Scott City at home, who's very good. Sykeston at home, who is great. You're at Charleston. You've got Gateway Legacy. That's another school. No idea what they're going to show up with. And you finish the year with Kennett, which is a winnable ball game. But you have some very, very tough games to close out this season. But some of the good I saw against Jackson, I'm hoping translates. But you got to score, man. 37 points. You're not going to win many, many games ever in the SEMO Conference, scoring 37 points. So we will jump to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a team that has played very well post-Christmas break. I mean, even during the Christmas break, right? You go to the Christmas tournament. Orion wins third place. Obviously, they were heavily demoralized in the semifinal game against Jackson. They scored 19 points. One of the craziest, just inexplicable things I've ever witnessed, watching how lopsided that game was. I didn't understand what was happening. Notre Dame could not score. And since then, though, they've really, really rectified the issue. Guys are stepping up. Different guys are stepping up each and every night. Similar situation with Jackson. Obviously, Notre Dame, they lean on a lot of younger guys. They have a really, really talented sophomore class. I know, shout out Colin Earps. I heard he had some issues. The ankle, I believe, required surgery. Going to be out for the rest of the season, is at least what I've heard. So that is super unfortunate. One of those talented young guys. I mean, during the Christmas tournament, 3-1. Post Christmas, they're undefeated. They've played teams that they should beat. Obviously, Cairo they dominated. New Madrid they beat by 20. At Kennett, they won that handily. But playing against your rival Cape Central, winning that by 6. If you're Notre Dame, solid win. And then they could play Charleston every week. They'd be, what are they? They'd be 17-0 right now. They've beaten Charleston now 3 times before the end of January. They knock off Charleston 60-56 at home the other day. It's another nice win. It was Charleston came back. It was a big lead early for Notre Dame. Charleston came all the way back to make it close, but they held on. Dylan Rubel played well in that one, put up 20. He's a guy I've mentioned a few times this season that I think there's a lot there that he can tap into talent-wise. I mean, he's I think the tallest kid on the team. He's a sniper from 3. The more he's able to round out his game, I think he's going to be a really, really good basketball player. And it's exciting to kind of see him take those steps. But, yeah, he's a person, if you leave him open, it's going to be a problem for you. And he is hopefully peaking here at the end of the season, peaking at the right time, making some big moves here for Notre Dame. If he is able to be a guy that's consistently up into double figures, up into mid-teens, they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat because you still have those other young guys. I mean, he's only a junior. So you have the other young guys. I mentioned Adams. Cole Adams has been phenomenal. Braden Robert has played really well in some of these games after Christmas. So I'm really high on Notre Dame. Now, looking here into the near future, they do go to Nixa. I don't believe I haven't seen anything about that game as of now, of that tournament as of now. But I know historically it's a very, very tough tournament, right? You've got teams like a Logan Rogersville there. That's one of the best teams in the state of Missouri. Looking at last season, let's look at their schedule last year. They played Logan Rogersville, who was unbelievable. They're one of the best teams in the state. They played Hillcrest, who was a very good basketball team. And they played Lighthouse Senior High, which I don't know anything about them. But they were all right. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame went 0-3 there last year. It's going to sound reductive. I'm not talking down. I'm not trying to be patronizing. But, if you're able to go to Nixa, win a game would be good. If you're able to get out of there 2-1, that would be phenomenal, right? That's going to be a tough tournament. You're going to play really talented teams. So I don't know who yet. Like I said, the girls tournament just ended the other day, so I can try to see if they've put out anything about the upcoming boys tournament. However, I haven't seen anything yet. I looked earlier today online. Yep, nope, still nothing there. Most recent update from Nixa, they postponed some basketball coming up. Early February. It's supposed to be getting more snow, apparently, by the way. Woohoo, or something like that. So, I don't know. I'm a hater against the weather at this point in the year, but I'm really high on where Notre Dame's at. They've got a lot of winnable games coming up. Out past Nixa, you've got, at Saxony should be a win. At Hillsborough is definitely a winnable ball game. They host Bluff. Hosting Bluff is a nice advantage for them. I think that's a winnable ball game. Bernie's going to be interesting. I mean, they're going to be a lot deeper than Bernie. Bernie is a fun team. They're really good. They're a good, fun Class 2 team around here. But it's a game that I think Notre Dame should win. At Borgia is going to be tough. They have a kid that's putting up crazy, video game numbers. He's averaging 30 points a game. And then at Dexter, man, it's going to be weird. You're doing it again. They're at Dexter the last game of the year, and then they might turn around and play Dexter a week later in the district title game. So we'll see how that goes. But really, really interesting end to the Notre Dame schedule, and an end that I think they could rally a few wins here, and I like where they're at going into the end of the season. Now, scoot over here to Saxony. Saxony Boys, let's see, it says they're 4-10. It doesn't have St. Pius, so they're 4-11 right now on the season. I guess I didn't. Notre Dame's 12-5. So Notre Dame's poised to have a good year record-wise. Their best record in some time. I mean, they haven't finished above 500 since 2020-2021 season. So, I mean, if they finish above 500, it's going to be a huge just improvement over where they have been the last 5 years. So shout out to them, man. They're doing things really well. Shout out to Coach Brinkmeyer, leading those kids in the right direction. Saxony, I mentioned it in the I keep referencing my unreleased episode, but Saxony is just in a very frustrating spot where they just are so close a lot of times, and they just are not able to get victories. Now, they did kind of swing things in their direction up at Chester. They played in a tournament there. But, you rewind back, even early in the season, I mean, it goes to a decent St. Genevieve team and really outplay them 95% of the game, but don't come up with a win. They lose in overtime. They lose at North County by 3. They go to the Christmas tournament where they were at up in Valley. They played both Valleys out of Caledonia and the one out of St. Genevieve. They played Valley Catholic, lost by 1. You played Valley with a Y, lost by 1. Played Valley Catholic, lost by 1. Then they did, as they should. They beat the tar out of Zalma, put up 88 on them. They come home, host a really tough Leopold team. They played them very close through 3 quarters. Unable to close, though. Leopold pulls away late, wins that one by 15. And then you go up to Chester, pick up some victories there, some nice wins. They beat Lovejoy. Look, I don't know anything about this place. Lovejoy beat them handily. They do get smacked at Chester by 30. But then they bounce back and beat that Valley Catholic team that just beat them a few weeks ago. Get a 10-point win, hold them to 37. Defensive clinic. Shout out to Saxony and those boys. When they come, back out of the tournament front, they go on the road now, back-to-back games, and lose 2 in a row. The first one at Delta. Look, Delta's a really good team. Delta's one of the best. They are the best Class 1 team around here. Right? I think they're the best. Yeah, that's a true statement. To think about that for a second. They're the best Class 1 team around here. They're 14-3. They're a very good team, and they really laid it on Saxony, put up 81 on them. And then they went to St. Pius, which I am not happy about. I don't know any of the situation surrounding the ball game. They lose that one 47-40. St. Pius has not had a good year, right? I think they're winless. It says on the Misha website. They are a Class 3 team, but this is a team that has struggled. And you go up to their place though, and they pick you off 47-40. Tough break for Saxony. Definitely a game I thought they could win, but another, single-digit loss. It's kind of, I know that's annoying for the players, for the coaches. But yeah, it's just going to be the big X factor going down the stretch. It doesn't get easier. They have a heck of a schedule to close out the season. Doniphan at home Friday the 30th. I would implore you to go check it out. By the way, go root on Saxony. The Doniphan's a really good team though. They're much improved from the first month to now. They are a good basketball team. They have some kids that are good. St. Vincent at home is going to be tough. Notre Dame at home is going to be very tough. Jefferson at home is a very good team. At Chaffee is a very good team. Oak Ridge at home, we'll see. That should be a game that is winnable. Twin Rivers at home. Twin Rivers is a good team. At Scott City is a very good team. At Kennett, they're probably the worst team in the SEMO Conference, but they are still a SEMO Conference team. So, Saxony, shout out to them and the administration and Coach Scott. They have a tough schedule. They have a very, very tough schedule. And so it's a situation where I think they're better. Watching them as I'm able to, because they always play the same night, so I'm calling games. But watching them as I'm able to, they look better. They feel better than they were a year ago. They just got to find a way to close out these games now. So I'm optimistic they can start doing that, but it's not going to be easy against the schedule that they have down the stretch here. So we will now flip the page over to girls basketball. I mentioned I'll go in reverse order from what I just did, but we might have one of the best teams in the state of Missouri down here in Cape County, and that is the Jackson girls basketball team. But before we get there, we'll start with Saxony. And say Saxony girls, they're 7-9. It has been an up and down year, I would say, a consistently inconsistent year in the fact that, win a couple games, lose a couple games, win a couple games, lose a couple games. It feels like there's a pretty defined line of where they're at right now, talent-wise, compared to some of their opponents. Just looking, I guess, the last month or so, you had the girls' Christmas tournament that at Saxony / the Show Me Center. They beat Scott County there pretty big. They lose to St. Vincent big, which not, a surprise by any means. They lose by double digits to Delta, which is also not a huge surprise. They go on the road, beat Scott County again. Tough one. They lost at Sykeston by 2 in overtime. That was definitely a game where it was like, this is a big momentum opportunity win, I thought, for them. Couldn't get it done, but they do bounce back, and they win at Kelly. It was a decent squad. Kelly's not a bad team by any means. They have a pretty consistently solid small school girls program. Then they come home. They beat New Madrid, who they had lost to earlier in the season, but they lost by 2, so they get them at home, hold them to 39 points. Great defensive effort out of Saxony. Get a 10-point win there. Then you go over to Jackson back on the 17th. Play a really, really good Neelyville team. They got a girl, Parker Earns, going to be playing for Carrie Shepard up in Mac. Shout out Carrie. Which was going to be an uphill battle. Neelyville's another one of those teams that is a consistent, pushing for Final Fours, things like that, from the way down south on the border of Arkansas. And then they get a nice win the other day. I was able to watch. They played Poplar Bluff, hosted Poplar Bluff, won that 40-35, pretty low-scoring ball game, obviously, but they were, I guess, also, not a surprise, led by Kinsey Keys in that one. She had 22. She had over half their points. She's had a heck of a year, man. She's a really, really good basketball player. She has good size. She plays hard. She's the leading rebounder. She's averaging a couple steals a game. She plays, every second of the game as well. I could tell that it looked like she was kind of running out of gas a bit there late in that ball game, but overall, I mean, she's having a great year, averaging, 20 points a game. She's been a fun player to watch, and I'm optimistic. Saxony going forward, but it'll just kind of depend. Like I said, there's a pretty defined line, I feel like, of where they're at relative to their peers. So you go to Perryville later this week. By the time this is out, you might know the outcome of that one. We'll see. I'm recording this on a Tuesday, so maybe it'll be out then, Wednesday. So they're at Perryville. That'll be a tough test. Perryville's a good team. They have a girl there, the Amberger girl, who's a really good basketball player. Go to Dexter. Obviously, going on the road is tough, but at Dexter is a game that I think Saxony should win. They host Notre Dame. We'll get to Notre Dame in a second. Things are not going well over there for them right now. They're playing some really tough teams, but they're getting smacked around by those tough teams. So that does kill your confidence. And it's going to be at Saxony. So that should be a very fun game. I would tell people, if you want to go see a game that's going to be really competitive, I would go check that out. At Portageville is going to be a really hard game. Portageville is the real deal. They host Kennett. I would also say, if you're in the area, you want to see a girl that is really good at basketball and you want to see her score 35 points, go check out the Kennett game. Then they're at Jackson. Jackson's on a different level. And they host North County, who's a very, very tough program. So Saxony has some winnable games, but also some very tough games at that last 2 weeks of the season. Their last 4 games are at Portageville, home against Kennett, at Jackson, home against North County. Those are all teams that are going to, win 16 to 20-something games this year. So it's going to be a tough close for Saxony, but I do like where they're at. They looked good. I mean, they're playing good defense lately against some of the teams, like I said, in their weight class. They held Kelly to 35. They held New Madrid to 39. They held Poplar Bluff to 35. So they're playing really well defensively, and they're getting enough offense, especially out of Kinsey Keys, to continue playing at a high level. So I like what I've seen out of them. We'll jump over to Notre Dame. Notre Dame girls, let's see. It says they're 3-8. They didn't have Kelly in there, so that's 4-8. So they're 4-10, I think is what they're at. I didn't think about that for a second. So they're sitting at 4-10 right now. This is not a good year, right? I mean, things are not going their way. They're playing a really, really hard schedule. They play at Francis Howell, who's one of the best teams in Class 6, I believe. They Play a couple of teams from Kentucky, Breckinridge County, Callaway County. They play St. Pius, who is very good. They play at Chaffee, who's one of the best small school teams here in the area. Then they go to Nixa, play Lee Summit West, that's loaded with college athletes, lose there. They play a pretty good battle team, lose that one as well. They did pick up the one win against Kelly, what was that, a week ago? So it's just a very tough spot they're in right now, having a schedule that is super loaded, especially early on. Now, you do get into the back half, you are going to be playing a lot of SEMO Conference games, which could lend itself to maybe a little bit more success. Going forward, you've got at New Madrid. Obviously, these games being on the road do make it tough, but at New Madrid is a winnable ball game. At Cape Central could be interesting. At Saxony is a game where, they should be competitive, could be a win. They host Dexter, which could be a win, and then you get back into a tough stretch. You go to Jackson, you host Farmington, host Corhay Zoo. Jackson and Corhay Zoo are both top 5 teams in Class 6, and then Farmington's a top 5 team in Class 5. So those games probably not made for success. You host Park Hill Central, who's a tough program, and then you go to Donovan, reigning class champions, only one loss on the year. So it's going to be a tough close to the year for Notre Dame. I'm optimistic that they can kind of put some things together. In that Kelly game, Lola Wonderlick did play well. She had double figures, 13 in that ball game. They won by 30 against Kelly, which I would say is probably what they should be doing in that kind of discrepancy between the two schools there. So that was definitely a game I think they should win, and they did take care of business. But overall, it's been a tough go. But they have been playing some very, very, very good competition as of late. Looking at Cape Central. Cape Central is another team who it's a little bit up and down at times. It's kind of another one where they're pretty pigeonholed into where they're at compared to local competition. You look at the teams they've played throughout the year. They beat Saxony close early in the season. They beat Poplar Bluff by about 15, but then they're losing to Chaffee by 20. You lose to Woodland close. Losing at Scott County was kind of the biggest surprise this season. That was a long time ago, obviously, but as of late this month, they've played some tough competition. They went to Farmington. They got blown out there. They did host Bluff and win that by 15. That was a nice win by the Tigers. I watched that game. And it's kind of, can you get your girls going? Can you take care of the basketball? Taking care of the basketball has been the biggest issue for Cape. They have, offensively, they have really good talent, in my opinion. You've got Ivy inside, who has size advantage over most opponents. She's a very, very tall kid, 6-something plus, right? Very, very tough assignment inside. Out on the perimeter, you've got Caden Kern, only a freshman, but I do like her game. She's, quick, good shooter. She gets to the rim, gets downhill, nice float game. Abby Davenport is a sniper type of player. She can shoot it from anywhere. She pulls up anywhere in transition. Jamie Dawson-Ide is a 3-level scorer. She gets to the rim. If you let her get to her left hand, it's pretty much automatic from anywhere on the court. Really good shooter, really good in transition. But it's just the turnovers, man. They turn the ball over too much at times. They've turned it over 20-plus times, many of these games that I've seen. Even some of the wins, it's like, if we could just take care of the ball a little bit better. It could be, instead of winning by 10, we could be winning by 25. But I like the team. I like what they can do. So, like, for example, like I said, they played Kelly. That was a game where they were winning really, really big at one point in time, and then things kind of got off the rails, and Kelly fought back. They pretty consistently led by double figures, but that was a 9-point game. The way I had it, Ivy had 15, Caden Kern had 12, Jamie Dawson-Ide had 11, but then you bounce back, and you've got to play a Jackson team that's not on the same level as anybody else around here. They lose to Jackson pretty big. It's another moral victory type of situation. I was pretty impressed by the way they played Jackson early in the ball game. It was just effort more than anything. They forced some turnovers, got out in transition. And hit layups or hit free throws, and then they just really crashed the offensive glass. I think that could be something that leads them to more victories against evenly stacked teams, is just their quickness and hustle and effort out on the perimeter. I mean, like I said, it would Dawson, Ide, and Kern, those are two very, very quick guards. Obviously, you have Ivy, who just has the size to just go up and grab rebounds over people. You have a lot of other guards on the team that I do really like, girls that keep rotating in and out. Yeah, I keep saying I'm pretty optimistic about teams. Cape Central is another one where I do like kind of what they have. They did go to Carbondale recently, dropped a couple of ball games over there. They played Carbondale. And that was a close loss to Carbondale. I'm gonna find that. No, excuse me. They got blown out by Carbondale. They lost by 30 to Carbondale, and they lost 51-44 to Massac County. A situation where they got down early and could never just. They didn't have enough in the tank to come back from the deficit that they kind of dug themselves into. But it's just another game where, when it's working, it's working. When they're able to get out in transition, when they're moving the ball quickly, when there's space, they can get into the mid-range, hit shots. They get to the rim, they hit shots. So I like where they're at. Looking at the schedule, they're in the middle of a pretty long break here. Post-Carbondale Winter Classic. The next game is they're hosting they're hosting Notre Dame on the 2nd. Then they host New Madrid on the 5th. Those could be wins. You go to Kennett, to Dexter, to Woodland consecutive games. Kennett will be tough. At Woodland will be tough. Dexter is a winnable ball game. Dexter's 2-12. You host Sykeston, which I think could definitely go Cape's way. They beat Sykeston really handily early in the year in the conference tournament. Beat them by almost 30. So they have some games that they can win here down the stretch. Let me see. And they're in Class 5 District 1 with Notre Dame. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see where things shake out. They played well heading into the postseason last year. Hopefully they're able to close this season on a high note and go into the postseason, maybe win a couple games. So, and then finally, we got to close with the absolute juggernaut that is the Lady Indians. Fun fact, right now Jackson is playing, so I'm going to talk about what they have done, but right now, in this week, they're playing in the Lindbergh Invitational. Lindbergh Invitational is a loaded tournament, and like I said, I've been looking down a lot. I've been looking at the score. They're currently, you know what happens in this game already, obviously. I'm in the past, but as the words are leaving my mouth, they're winning 44-9 over another top 5 Class 5 team. This Class 5 team has the number 1 player in the class of 2028, the number 3 player in the number 1 player in the state in 2028, the number 3 player in America in the class of 2028, a girl named Jordan Haywood. And it has been all Jackson here in this ball game. They are dominating so far in this ball game. So that's pretty cool. But Jackson has just been unbelievable. They're undefeated right now. They are 13-0. And it has been not close very often. Once again, in my never before seen episode I recorded previously. They beat St. Vincent. They got that monkey off the back, right? They beat the Rubel sisters finally. They won the Christmas tournament, and they beat St. Vincent, who was their only loss last season. St. Vincent blew them out, and Jackson's been winning a lot of games with girls out. The Christmas tournament was really wonky. I mean, they were beating people, but they had girls missing so much time, like Rachel Berger missed time, Addison Henderson missed time. They had a lot of people. Okay, well, update. Jordan Haywood is not playing in the MICDS game, so that makes beating them by 50 a little bit easier. But regardless, shout out to Landon Watkins, by the way, boots on the ground in Lindbergh. But outside of that, they have just been annihilating people. Post-Christmas tournament, so they had a huge break. They played St. Vincent on the 18th of December. They did not play again until January 5th. And they had back-to-back games. Festus was the number 4 team in Class 5 at the time. Farmington was the number 2 team in Class 5 at the time. They beat Festus 62-26. They beat Farmington 76-25. They just kill people. They just show up. They pressure you. If you cannot handle the basketball, if you don't have 3-4 girls that can handle the basketball facing pressure, you're going to turn it over 30 times and you're going to lose by 40 to Jackson. Okay. That's what's happening. I mean, they are just relentlessly pressuring you, making you play fast, making you play helter-skelter, and Jackson doesn't care. They will run up and down. The ball will be flying all over the court. They're taking tough shots in transition, and that works for Jackson. That is where they live. Like, they will – it feels like it's just organized chaos at times, right? Like, they are just flying up and down the court, turning everybody over. They've got, 10 girls that can all handle the ball, that can shoot it. It's so much fun. I mean, this is my favorite team in Southeast Missouri. I obviously have a soft spot for the boys team. I played for the team back in the olden days, and I call all the boys games. But this Jackson girls team is the most fun team to watch. Period. Sure, they don't have all the top end talent of eventually they're probably going to run into a incarnate word or something like that in the playoffs, right? I don't care. This team is so much fun to watch. They just annihilate people. I mean, they beat Cape 76-34. They played bad at times defensively against Narix Hall, and they beat them by 32. They beat New Madrid 81-13, and they were missing multiple players again in that game as well. It's just been bananas to watch some of the stuff they've been doing. The New Madrid game, and Kate Deck has been playing really, really well. She had 22, 5, and 4 in that game. They forced 28 turnovers as a team. I mentioned they had no Berger or Henderson in that game. I believe they were both out sick. They beat who was it? They beat one of these teams. I think it might have been Narix Hall. They played without Jayla Smith, who's one of their starters. The Farmington game way back when, they won that 76-25. That was a game where, I think if that was the right game, that was a game where, Deck might have struggled, but Dory had 18 and 7. She had 5 offensive rebounds. Addison Henderson had 17. They've just been dominant, man. I mean, they've just been absolutely just suffocating people defensively. It has been just hilarious to watch at times. They are just playing so well. Like I said, Kate Deck has been playing out of her mind. She's the best player in Southeast Missouri. She's the best player south of St. Louis County. Yeah. She's been just phenomenal. Everybody's stepping up around her. I'm just going to look down the list of names here. Like, Adeline Abernathy has been playing phenomenal basketball. She's been pressuring the crap out of people. I think she got to start when Jayla Smith was out, and she had like 20 steals. It's what it felt like. It just felt like she was just getting steals, shooting layups over and over again. Aubrey Baker's been playing really, really well off the bench. Once again, Abernathy, freshman. Baker, a freshman. Bryn Banderman off the bench, a freshman. Chloe Abernathy, a freshman. 4 freshmen. You've got Kate Deck, sophomore. Dory, sophomore. Henderson, sophomore. Like, you've got 2 seniors, Lily Watkins and Jayla Smith. So shout out to them. Congrats. Senior day the other week ago. But I mean, so many kids out here are just like 14, 15, 16 years old. They have so much more time to grow, and they just are wrecking people right now. Like, it's just they're so much fun to watch. There's not a lot I can just keep saying. They've got girls up and down the roster who defend at a high level. Like I mentioned, the Abernathys have been an awesome addition to the team. They both just guard their butt off. They can handle They have elite length and size for girls their age and girls that can play on the perimeter. They score around the rim. You can really tell that the game they're catching up to the speed and physicality of the game. They're scoring through contact. They're scoring at the rim, and just making good plays. They're making the right plays. And like I said, the girls you expect. Lily Watkins has been so much fun as a just lockdown 94-foot defender all season long. Jayla Smith has taken a huge jump from last year to this year. Her ability to score, all over the court has been great. She plays really, really tough defense. She has been a ton of fun to watch. Rachel Berger, one of only two juniors even on. So they have two seniors, they have two juniors. Everybody else on the roster is a freshman or sophomore. Rachel Berger's been playing well. It feels like she's kind of rounded back into basketball form. She's a girl who can shoot it really well. She can defend really well. So I like, what she provides. And obviously I've mentioned the sophomores. Addison Henderson does everything. Ultimate glue girl. He's on the floor. She can defend all 5 positions. Lauren Dory's been a huge, huge improvement this year too, right? I mean, obviously just having anybody her size is huge in the girls' game, in my opinion. But she's just so much more than a tall person right now. Like, even only as a sophomore, the development from last year to this year has been crazy. Like, her ability to score, like I was talking about the Abernathy, her ability to score with contact, it's just slowed down. She's just slowed down so much. It felt like last year, a lot of times, she was playing the game at 3x speed compared to everybody else. And, they got her in trouble, missed some shots around the rim, things like that. This year, she's just taking her time, using her body, playing at her own speed, and just scoring at will, getting offensive rebounds, being a dominant defender. She has been her massive leap in improvement has been huge for this team. That's what's going to really determine how far they can go. When they do see whoever it is, obviously in the regular season, they're going to be playing Frances Howe, who has good size. They're going to be seeing, Lauren Ortworth up at Corhay Zoo, people like that. And Lauren's improvement is going to be a big part. And then obviously Kate Deck. Kate Deck is the straw that stirs the drink. Her improvement as a passer has been phenomenal. It just feels like every shot she takes is going in, regardless of how she's been playing. Every three, it feels like it's going in. Any mid-range shot, it feels like it's going in. She's been attacking the basket really well. And like I said, her passing has been great. She's been playing really good defense. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this team. They are so much fun to watch. I can just have a 2-hour episode just telling you how great they are. So, we will now get off the basketball. Ooh, that's just kind of the whole catch-up. There's a lot to talk about, obviously. Need to catch up on a lot of things. So, we're back here now. Hopefully, I will be back here, do this every week from now on to close out the rest of the winter season as we slowly march toward spring. Feels like a very slow march right now as there's inches and inches and inches of ice outside. Used to be snow. Now it's just ice. It looks like snow. Talking about a few wrestling outcomes. Once again, I will talk about as much wrestling as you people post about it. So any results that I do find on social media, I'll talk about. So we'll start with now a couple weeks back. Cape Central went up north and they wrestled in St. Charles. And the boys had 3 medalists. Dane Armstrong got 3rd. RJ Gafford, who's a young kid, also got 3rd. Nathan Waddy got 5th. And over on the girls' side, they had a few girls that are having really good years. Kazmira Ferranda got 3rd. Madison Smoot 5th. And then Lily Zalit. Lily, reach out. Tell me how to pronounce your last name. Got 5th place as well. So they're wrestling really well. I know I mentioned I've got some results from the SEMO Conference. We will get to that here in a moment. I'm going to keep checking, see if there's anything else, any other wrestling results that I even have that I have missed. No, I don't believe so. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and pull up the SEMO Conference. We had SEMO Conference wrestling meet that was up at Farmington. I think that was the first day that it started like snowing and everything. So shout out to everybody for making the trip up there. And yeah, we had a lot of guys and girls perform really, really well up there. There's about to be a lot of names, weights and places and things like that. So bear with me. So we'll start on the girls' side. And I mentioned a moment ago, Kazmira Ferunda she had third up in St. Charles. She actually got second at 100 pounds here in the SEMO Conference meet. So she's a finalist. Shout out to her. At 110, Kaylee Milam came away first place from Jackson. She is a very, very talented wrestler. You know, she's somebody who's looking to compete for a state title this year at 110. So she got first. Lily Morningstar from Jackson got second at 115. Macy Novak from Jackson got second at 125. Lily's Elite got third at 130. Kylie Self of Jackson got fourth at 140. And shout out to Madison Smoot, another champion from here. She got first at 145, so shout out to Madison, huge win. We got a couple of winners, her and I mentioned Kaylee Milam on the girls' side. The only two winners here from Cape County, so congrats to Madison. Coming away with a victory there at 145. And Madeline Hager, also at 145, came in third. So lost the semifinal, but came back and won that third place match. At 155, Faith Price of Jackson got fourth place. At 190, Scarlett Dixon of Jackson got fourth place. That closes out. Yeah, that closes out the girls. Over on the boys' side, team total-wise, I know Jackson got third. They were the highest finisher of any of the girls' teams. And on the boys' side, Jackson dominated. They finished with 400 points. They had 7 first-place finishers. Four guys got second, 1 fourth, 2 fifths. So we'll run through all that here now. At 106, Wade Wachter got 5th place for Jackson, and Desmond June got 6th place for Cape. At 113, Dane Armstrong, who I mentioned a moment ago, he got 4th place for Cape Central, beat Noah Barnhart at Jackson, who got 5th at 113. At 120, Grady Rice, who's having a good year, got 1st for the Indians. Over to Notre Dame. Haven't talked about Notre Dame yet. Notre Dame, Oscar Kester came in 6th at 120. Camden Gerhart of Jackson got 2nd at 126. He's been having a pretty good year there at 126. Also in the 126 weight class, Jaden Essner finished in 6th place, I believe, of Notre Dame. Notre Dame and Saxony, for those that don't know, are kind of co-oping wrestling. So I believe they're all under the mantle of Notre Dame. So some of these kids you might go to Saxony. So my bad. At 132, Mitchell Baker, another guy who's having a good year for Jackson. He got 1st place. Corbin Matisik got 6th for Cape Central at 132. At 136, Cade King got 2nd for Jackson. At 144, Jaden Eddy won for the Indians. At 150, Gannon Rice came in 2nd for the Indians as well. Also at 150, Ozzie Turner, who I know is a football player at Saxony as well. He came in 5th place at 150. At 157, Raleigh Evans, who's having a good year for Jackson, he got 1st place. For Notre Dame, also at 157, Parker Lemons came in 5th. At 165, Sawyer Goodwin came in 2nd for Jackson. Max Schultz of Notre Dame came in 6th. At 175, Joe Moore came in 1st place, which is interesting. Joe Moore wrestled at 175, so he must have lost. It cut him down there to 175 because he wrestled earlier in the year at Granite City at 190. He won up, I believe he won, or he got 2nd up there, something like that. He wrestled at 190 earlier in the year. So now he's cut down, wrestled at 175, got 1st place. Jordan Sostillo of Jackson, he got 1st place at 190, which, once again, shout out to that kid. I mean, he had an injury that I saw I believe his mom or dad posted that they didn't think he was going to be playing sports the rest of the senior year. He's able to play an entire football season, had a great year, and now getting 1st place in SEMO Conference, so congrats to Jordan. At 215, Cape Central's champion, Connor Poole, won there for the Tigers, so shout out to Connor. Also at 215, Charlie Eifert of Jackson got 4th. And then the big boys 285 champion Bryson Wessel, to be expected, of Jackson, came in first place. And then Gafford over at Cape Central came in sixth place. So Gafford's a young guy. I think he's a freshman. Got some PT over on the football field. Really, really good wrestling season thus far for Robert Gafford Jr., RJ Gafford, having a good year on the mat now as well. So congrats to all the wrestlers, boys and girls, performing really at a high level here in the SEMO Conference. So, yeah, those seasons are really wrapping up rapidly as well. The one swim meet that I have any results from, I only have Jackson's results. The Jackson swim page posted the results from the, what's the technical term, City of Roses Invitational here in Cape. Lindley LaValle came in fourth in the 100 breaststroke. She also came in fifth in the 200 freestyle. Eva Barnfield, fifth in the 50 freestyle. And in the foursome of Barnfield, Lindley, Allie Hayes, and Audrey Tushoff came in sixth in the 200 medley relay. And then Tushoff also came in sixth in the 100 freestyle. Eva Barnfield came in sixth in the 100 backstroke. Tushoff came in 10th in the 200 freestyle. And then Hayes, Jansen, Wilson, and Dean combined for 13th in the 400 freestyle relay. And then Allie Hayes came in 15th in the 100 butterfly. Shout out to all the Lady Indians there swimming. The rest of this week, looking at swimming and wrestling. Wednesday, like I said, you might hopefully this podcast beats that. We shall see. Cape Central has a tri-meet with Kelly and Park Hills Central. Thursday, Notre Dame, West Plains, Poplar Bluff having a tri-meet. Friday, you've got, and Saturday, or no, excuse me, just Friday, Friday, Saturday, Jackson is at Francis Howell. That's going to be some really, really tough wrestling up there. Francis Howell themselves, I know, are a monster. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other teams that are heavy hitters. And then the girls for Jackson are up at Seckman on Saturday. So best of luck to all of our wrestlers. For swimming, the only meet I saw going on, Notre Dame with Saxony and Cape Central, Friday, Saturday this week are going out west to Springfield for the Springfield Invitational. So hopefully all the weather holds up out there. They get to go swim. And, yeah, hope it's a good time. I've been to Springfield many times. Got a lot of family that lives over there. So hope they all enjoy their trip out west. Go walk around Bass Pro Shops. Good for you. I think I've covered everything, man. I've just been talking here. About all this, everything we got coming up. I mentioned all the games we've got going on this week. Look, I've heard some bad things about the weather coming up already, so I'm not looking forward to that. Let's take a little gander here at the Weather Channel app. Looks like we're in the clear the rest of this week, but then the end of next week, things might get a little dicey. Kind of February, 3rd, 4th, 5th-ish time period, so just an unfortunate circumstance of being kind of here in the Midwest. We get some snow every once in a while, get some ice. So always be on the lookout for everybody's social media pages. I'll share all those on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Any school that announces they're canceling or postponing a game, I'll always share all that information on all of our social media. Just check out Exit 99 Sports, where you can find all of that. Outside of that, I think that's about all we've got to talk about. A couple things to close out the show. I do want to give a shout-out to Cam Williams over at Portland. He's playing well, averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds. The team's having a pretty solid year. He had a nice double-double the other week against Pepperdine, so shout out to him. SEMO men around 500. SEMO women a few games below. Shout out to Maddie Stelling, who of Jackson, softball player committed to St. Charles Community College. Also, shout out to Holly Haynes, not really around here, but down at Charleston, 1,000 career points already as a sophomore. So that's insane. Shout out to her. Great accomplishment there. Yeah, outside of that, I think that wraps up just about everything we had to talk about. So, as always, go check out any games we do have going on this week. We might be in the clear, at least this week, as far as weather goes. So go out, watch some basketball. There's a couple of swim meets, a lot of wrestling still going on around the area. So definitely go check any of that out. As always, make sure, like, subscribe on any social media where you watch here, YouTube, things like that. As also just my own personal shout out to Mr. Henderson. He he streams all the Jackson girls games. Anywhere you want to watch, that's where I've been watching, as I've also been talking to you guys the entire time, as Jackson is going to decimate MICDS. So shout out to them. They'll be moving on. They'll be playing Francis Howell. So that'd be a big-time matchup there in St. Louis. His YouTube channel, Hendy Hoops, HENDI Hoops 22 on YouTube. Go watch the game. So shout out to them, and thank you all for watching, and thank you for listening. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.